Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Eden Zero, chapter 169. Excuse me. When we last left our heroes, we checked in with the Interstellar as they sort of took stock of the current, intergalactic landscape, specifically looking at the Galactica. Two of their members are dead in Nero's case, and I think Draken is old but arrested, but not able to do much. Unless DJ Zombie comes back, again, still my theory. But we get a little bit of info on the three other members of the Galactica we've not met yet. Dead End Crow, the High Bishop Saint Fire Nox, and Mother of Dragons, God Agnoella. Definitely a bit of a reference there. But then we cut to Justice after the meeting, talking with Victory about, what happened to Creed. And Jesse comes in and explicitly lays the blame at Homer's feet. We found out that when the Eden Zero returned Creed's body, they left a message telling them what had happened to Creed, but Jesse deleted it because, he shot Creed. So now Justice, maybe not Victory, who's kind of skeptical of this whole story, but Justice believes that Homer personally murdered Creed and he wants revenge. Meanwhile, on Sandra, the crew of Edens is sort of resting after, the war they fought in. Goodwin comes over and tells them about this funeral tradition in the Aoi cosmos to light lanterns and send them into the sky to help souls find their way to the Sea of Stars, where religiously people of Aoi cosmos believe the dead go after they die. And so we ended off with this really heartfelt, really beautiful funeral scene for all of the dead of the Aoi War. And that's where we left off. So let's jump right on into chapter 169, Declaration. And our picture here is of Shiki. He's got his eye patch. We've been waiting all this time to see what's going to happen once the bandages come off. We see him with an eye patch with the Eden Zero crest. He's looking much more regal now. Got this captain suit and a cloak on. It's all very, very cool, I'll say. And we open with the Eden Zero still in Aoi space somewhere in the medical bay. And that was just Mashima teasing. That nice cover picture of Captain Shiki. Because Shiki takes off his bandages, and I'm guessing Sister, healed his eye. Because he has his eye again. And Sister asks, yeah, there's Sister, of course. How is it, Shiki? Can you see? And Shiki looks around, and he can. Whoa! Awesome! I can see! I'm healed! Okay, so here's an interesting thing, though. Is that this is not the first time Mashima's brought in, fake eyes that basically work just as well as the original. It's the same thing we saw with Urza and part of her backstory that only rarely comes up. But anyway, Shiki's back, and he looks over at Rebecca and Homura, but it's a little weird. I'm seeing right through everybody's clothes. And Rebecca and Homura are just like, oh no, they're not on board with this, understandably. And Sister tells him, since you were getting a new eye anyway, I added an X-ray vision function. And Shiki's just staring. Whoa. And Rebecca covers herself. Yeek! Homer fumes. Have you no shame? And Clean is also there. This is embarrassing. And Jean snaps. Don't even think about looking at my sister. So I'm a little shocked at just how light this all is. I mentioned over the past few chapters that I can't really see the series returning to the same type of levity that it had in these sort of crew interactions in the beginning. Things have changed too much. But I guess I should not have underestimated Mashima's desire to have some levity. Which admittedly it's not a bad choice having levity. Given just the huge weight of the past 30 chapters, it is admittedly a little nice to sort of have this. I'm not a big fan of the exact content of this light scene, of Shiki peeping on the girls. Not a big fan of that in particular. But it is nice that it's not just going to be dour and serious from here on out. Anyway, Pino comes over to Shiki. Master, are you alright? Yeah, it's like a real eye. Sister's the best. But Happy comes over. That's not what she means. Part of your body is mechanical now. So, oh, he's an OTEC. So now I'm a member of the OTEC Club too. And Rebecca sighs, sort of happy that he's not sort of beating himself up over this. Though I don't know why anyone would think that he would, given all he's done to fight for bots. Happy and Pino are both sort of relieved. Jean sort of snaps, just sort of remarks, "It's just an eye. You guys are overreacting." Yeah, because, Jean is like an entire fucking mechanical body at this point. We see Clean and Homura sort of react to that good response. Sister as well smiles on. And then we cut to Weisz, who's just in the spa of Eden's. And he sees someone coming in. I'm going to go on a limb here and say that it's going to be Laguna. Some sort of, they had their sort of interaction back in 167, post-war, but they didn't really talk that much there. I think we might get that here. Anyway, Weisz notes, someone's coming in here. Is this what I think it is? And he has this image of Rebecca being the one who's coming in here covered in a towel. Eek! And Weisz heart-eyeing, woohoo! One of those incidents? What do I do? Hide? Or should I own my right to be here? I mean, you do have a right to be there, Weisz. And I was right. It is Laguna, just walking on in. And Weisz is disappointed, though I do think he needs this sort of, some kind of scene with Laguna. And Laguna just stares at him. And then goes over, I'm not entirely familiar with Japanese bath culture, but he goes over to like a separate shower to sort of wash himself before he gets in the spa. And Weisz asks, why didn't you go back to Oasis? And Laguna just counters, hello, they kicked me out. Yeah, because you left. But Laguna gets to the heart of the matter, I think. The war is over. There's no point in staying with them. And Weisz presses, so you just had to move in with us? And Laguna pauses with that. I think sort of acknowledging Weisz's pushback. Because I do think even if Weisz did not kill Laguna, I don't think that's the same thing as being super glad to have him here. I think he does sort of blame Laguna on some level even still for his role in this war. Anyway, Laguna tells Weisz, before I joined Oasis, I was an actor. It was a small planet, but I was a big name for where I was. One of my friends in the acting scene was a guy named Harold. And we see this guy with sort of like short, poofy hair. He and I used to always talk about our dreams together. He's sort of, Harold is just this really plain, he's in like a polo, very sort of basic outfit. One day, we would be the two greatest actors in the cosmos. Then we performed together in the biggest theater. He was someone I could call my best friend. But the Empire invaded, and Harold was killed. Okay. So now we're really getting the Laguna backstory here. And I was always sort of suspicious that scene right between Foresta and Sandra, where Laguna makes mention of having some grander purpose he was sort of using the Eden Zero for. And I, at one point, thought that was beyond Oasis. At this point, I don't think it is. I think it was just getting them to take out Nero was kind of his goal. I shed tears for him when he died. But then I realized something. I realized my tears were all an act. And Weisz sort of looks at it and takes that little line in. Of course I was sad. There was nothing fake about that. I missed him, and it hurt more than I could bear. But I was so much of an actor. I was only playing the part of myself. Am I crying more than I need to? What does my face look like right now? I was actually calculating how I should be crying. Oh, damn, okay. I'm not unfamiliar with that vibe. Weisz just notes, workaholic. I couldn't tell anymore. If my own tears were real or pretend. And Laguna wipes himself off with a towel. That's when I retired from show business. After that, I joined Oasis, and you know the rest. Stuff happened, and now here I am. The question there is, after Laguna left Oasis, or left Draken, he went back to being an actor, went back to show business very briefly before Witch found him on Red Cave, or on the way, her detour from Red Cave. And I'm guessing that's just at some point he ran out of options and went back to his sole remaining path. Oasis has closed its doors to him. Draken was captured. He had nothing left. Anyway, Weisz goes on. Okay, so is there a point to telling me your life story? And Laguna gets in the bath. Even after I gave up being an actor, I was constantly playing a part. The part of an unemotional man who's sworn vengeance on the Empire. And Weisz comments, that's not an act. But I don't need to play that part anymore. So I've thought about what it is I want to do. And Weisz sort of takes that in, and Laguna tells him, and what I want is to help you guys. So here we have Laguna, I think, officially becoming a permanent member of the crew. Which, we all love to see. And it does sort of fit. It's just a good moment all around. You and your crew defeated the Empire. I want to be the waters that take you down the path you're meant to go. Which is a very similar metaphor to what Gene used when he overdrived. The whole, I will be the wind that pushes the ship along. Laguna, I think, kind of fitting for an Aoi native, which I don't think Gene is, uses the water metaphor rather than the air, which is all very interesting stuff there. Anyway, Weisz seems to acknowledge that. Just has this smile, and then we cut to Hermit, who I think is studying the records of the Eden Zero's previous trip. I'm getting farther analyzing this 15-year-old log. The Eden Zero left the Sakura cosmos, passed through the Aoi cosmos, then went to the Kaide cosmos. Oh boy, if we're going to Kaide next, we're going to be getting Elsie backstory, or a more detailed Elsie and Justice backstory, sooner rather than later, I think. Then we hear an announcement. Everybody, listen up. We cut back to Weisz, who acknowledges it as Shiki. And we see Couchbo and Moscow having a meal. Huh? Using the ship's PA system? That's unusual. And Moscow agrees, mos. And Shiki tells them all, the Eden Zero is continuing its quest to find Mother. That is our ultimate goal, and that's not going to change. It's our dream to make it to Mother, something no ship has ever done before. I'm assuming he's going to bring up Witch in this scene. How the ship has changed, how perhaps some part of their goal has changed in response to Witch's death. But while I was fighting in that war, it hit home. I learned just how dangerous Grandpa, how dangerous Ziggy is to the universe. There's a big thing. Him specifically saying, him kind of casting aside his grandson relationship to Ziggy. He wants to create a world for machines and only machines. And he'll do anything to make it happen. Even kill bots without a second thought. Felt a burp, but no. For the first time, I was able to truly see Grandpa as the enemy. We see this flashback of Shiki getting like a cut on his cheek. Oh no, is this going to leave a scar? We're back on Granbell, of course, and Michael tells them, well, we don't have the tech to remove scars here on Granbell. And Shiki sort of moans, no, I'm going to look like a loser. You have to heal it, Michael. And we see Ziggy coming up to him. Oh, for pity's sake. Here. And he covers up with a band. Oh, it's the same bandage he's worn this whole time. I never figured a backstory for that bandage. Now no one can see your scar. And Shiki looks at it. Whoa, I look so cool. And Michael's just sort of stunned. You think so? Thanks, Grandpa. And we see Ziggy grinning. And in the present, Shiki rips off the bandage, revealing that scar. All these years later. So before we set sail for Mother, there's something we have to do. This isn't about revenge for Witch or any personal grudge for my wounds. It's about saving the universe. We're going to beat Ziggy. Which, of course, as we all know, is the same thing as finding Mother. There's no way those two plots aren't going to intersect at the same time. Anyway, we're going to beat Ziggy. So we're going to get stronger to make sure no one else gets hurt. Okay, so I've heard some rumors that we're moving into a time skip very soon. This could be it. Everyone sort of smiles as they all sort of take in Shiki's declaration. Rebecca and Homura, Pino and Happy, Sister, Jean and Clean, Hermit, Weisz and Laguna, Couchpo and Moscow, all sort of take that in as the ship flies off. And we then cut to Zhao Mei, watching them. The fall of the Empire and destruction of planet Nero 66. These events liberated the Aoi cosmos. Still, countless lives were lost in the process. It will be a while yet before the dust settles, but peace will certainly be restored to the Aoi cosmos. The Union Army is occupying Nero 1, also known as the Temple, and a new administration is being put in place. On the planet Sandra, Oasis reportedly disbanded. It has released its prisoners, and is now reforming itself into an official civilian military organization. So we're getting what seems to be a good bit of of epilogue for all of these worlds, similar to what we sort of saw at the end of Sun Jewel. We have. I'm curious how we should take that stuff on Nero 1. The Union Army is in a position that's really kind of interesting. It's never quite clear. Are they sort of analogous to, say, One Piece's world government, where they sort of seem good to the common people, but the deeper you dig, the more heinous they are? Or are they sort of, genuinely a good government that's just sometimes sort of in conflict, specifically with justice, with our heroes? It's a little bit unclear there. I'm not really sure. But the question is, should we be taking that Nero 1 thing as truly positive, or is that meant to be a little uncomfortable? I'm not sure. But then Sandra, it's nice that, Goodwin fulfilled his promise to release the prisoners, and is becoming something more of a peacetime organization. Anyway, she continues, the conflict between humans and bots on Foresta had escalated, but through the mediation of Deadcam CEO Rickard, peace and harmony are gradually being restored. So we're seeing again, Rickard, we don't have enough info on Rickard to really sort of dive into what makes him tick. I do think he's more motivated by profit than anything else. A human-bot war is very bad for a bot manufacturer. Anyway, Jamais goes on. Meanwhile, the Eden Zero is set to find Ziggy, who has once again disappeared. Shiki has declared that he will get stronger in order to defeat the Demon King. Here, we reach a major transition in our story. And we see a drop of water hitting the ground, and move ahead to 3 years after the Aoi War. Okay, so yeah, time skip time. That's where we leave off. Okay, so I will admit, it does feel sort of early for a big time skip like this. First things first, I'm going to bring up the first flash forward not the first flash forward we ever had, but the first short-term flash forward we had back right before the Lyra fight with Rebecca. How she sort of saw, the future Shiki and the future Noah. I don't think this Shiki quite looks like that Shiki, though I also think we successfully avoided that timeline by Rebecca winning the card game. So that's something. I don't know. I'm just kind of shocked we're here so fast. We have our last bit of genuine, denouement of the war arc. As we see sort of Shiki recovering his other eye, becoming a cyborg, becoming an OTEC. Some nice Weisz Laguna bonding. That's especially good for anyone who's into that as a pairing. And also, it's just good to give Laguna some more characterization and set Laguna up as a new permanent long-term member, which has always it's definitely been the route he's been on since the war started. And here he sort of finishes that transition. He is now a member of the crew. He wants to help the crew of Edens no matter how things end up. And then it's kind of interesting to me that we have this hermit scene, right? We passed through the Aoi Cosmos, then went to the Kaide Cosmos, and instead of dealing with that, the gang, I guess, waits 3 years to deal with it. Because we're now 3 years later. Which is all very interesting. Before we get there, though, I do love Shiki's big speech. His whole, we're gonna find Mother. That's our true goal. That is what we are here to do, but we have a more immediate goal. We have to stop Ziggy, and bringing back that One Piece comparison is that I normally find that in One Piece, even as Luffy has seen more and more of the horrors of the world government, his conflict with the world government always, whenever it happens, which isn't terribly often, always feels much more incidental. He's not like, hey, the world government is awful and we have to stop them before we find One Piece. he's always looking at One Piece first and foremost, and whatever gets in his way, he'll deal with, as the world government will, because they don't want him to get to One Piece, and for all the secrets to be revealed and all that good shit. But here, Shiki's like, we're not going after Mother immediately. That's not our first priority. Our first priority is Ziggy will wipe out all life in the cosmos if we don't stop him. Certainly all organic life, and also a good bit of bot life as well, if we can't put a stop to him. And so that's our goal. And that we're going to get stronger is fitting time for a time skip. As I've made my way through, as I've been reading this series, and I'm almost done with Rave Master, I just started the final arc today in Rave Master, it's become very clear to me that Mashima just really, really, really hates training arcs, and he will do anything in his power to not write a training arc. And the time skip is one hell of a way to get around a training arc. But yeah, then we get this sort of bit of everyone sort of acknowledging that need for training. We get this epilogue of the Aoi War saga. And then we cut to a time skip. So, I do want to say, I don't think this is meant to be a kind of Naruto or Fairy Tail or One Piece style part 2. I don't think, in all those series, while the time skip isn't quite the halfway point by any stretch of the definition, it is sort of, each of those series can roughly be divided into 2 parts, the pre and post time skip. And Fairy Tail admittedly has another time skip pre-Alvarez, or pre-Avatar, I mean, but fuck Avatar. But the two stories feel different after the time skip, in a way that, in a style of change that never really happens again. I don't think we're getting that here. I think there will be a great change, given how much Ziggy has been moving in, like, the couple of weeks since he's sort of reawoken, during the Eden's 1 arc. I don't think he's been quiet for the past 3 years. I think the world will look, or the cosmos, the universe will look very different. But I could see this having multiple time skips, is my point. We have this 3-year one now. I'm also reading Magi, which has a bunch of little bitty time skips here and there. And 3 years is bigger than any of those Magi time skips, I think. At least where I'm at in Magi. But I could see us having more sort of 2-year time skips going forward, just to sort of, I don't know. It just feels a little bit early for this to be the big time skip in Eden Zero. I guess it could be, I suppose. But yeah, anyway, 3 years later, I'm sure next chapter will just be a lot of sort of catching up on what's happened in the world in the past 3 years. What is this sort of, I actually sort of have not been looking at the world Shiki is in. And it gives me sort of, like, Venetian vibes. I like the sort of instead of rain, it's like waterfalls from the clouds. It looks sort of, not quite medieval Europe, but, like, shortly post-medieval, maybe like Renaissance-era Europe, or Renaissance-era Venice, where the vibe it gives off to me. I don't know. All interesting stuff here. But yeah, we're 3 years in the future, the gang's gonna be getting stronger, and Mashima has absolutely no desire to ever write a time skip in his entire fucking life. So, you know what? We love that for him. He can do what he wants. But yeah, all in all, lots of fun stuff here. Again, sort of, there's some questionable bits. I'm not quite sure why we have this hermit scene. If the gang is not gonna deal with the Kaide Cosmos for another 3 years, I hope they haven't, like, skipped the Kaide Cosmos. That seems to be where the big Elsie Justice drama is going to play out. Obviously, but I don't know. I genuinely did not, besides the sort of Reddit comments I'd already seen, I would not have seen this coming at all. I'm shocked, genuinely, that we're in a time skip already. But you know what? We're gonna deal with that. We're gonna experience that as it happens. And I can't wait to see what all's changed, how things are shaping up in the universe post 3 years. I don't know. So yeah, I'm gonna leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe. Do whatever makes you happy, And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!